Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of Hops and Hedges, the podcast where we talk about beer, landscaping, and everything in between. I'm your host, Heather Gerard from My Landscape Artist, and I am so glad you're here. Hops and Hedges is proudly sponsored by ext.tech, and you're going to want to stick around until the end of the show for an exclusive discount code to use for their powerful CRM software and mobile app. Now crack open a cold one, and let's dig in. There we go. With me today, not too far away from London, Ontario, is Nicky Billou from Toronto. He is the founder of eCirle Academy for the 10 plus years. So Nicky, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to getting into it with you.
I'm so excited. So we met each other over this Podmatch website. We were just talking about, we're both members of that. How long have you said that you've been on Podmatch?
Since May 2022.
Since 2022. Wow. Okay. And I'm 1 month in, and it's so cool to meet all of these interesting people. So for those tuning in who don't know you personally or your business, can you explain to our listeners who you are, what you do, what's your business? Why are you amazing?
God bless your heart, man. You're right. Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking it. I'll start by telling you a bit about my backstory. So I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And prior to that, Iran had been ruled for 2,500 years by a monarchy. Monarch of Iran was His Highness Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He had been the ruler for 37 years. He basically had taken Iran from a backward third world nation, brought it second world status, and he was on the brink of taking it to first world status. He had a goal to have Iran be one of the top 5 nations of the world by the year 2000. And wouldn't you know it, there was a bunch of people who were opposed to him, and it was what he called the alliance of the red and the black, which is the Marxists and the Islamists. And they managed to persuade people that he was a despot and a dictator and a murderer, hiding the fact that, of course, they were the ones who were that way. And they overthrew him. And within days of the Shah being overthrown, Khomeini, who was the leader of the Islamist faction, started rounding up all his leftist allies and executing them. And then shortly after that, he started executing all of the people associated with the old regime. So thousands of people were executed. There were literally gun battles happening in the streets near my home. My mom and dad were freaking out. And maybe you can relate, being a kid and having your mom and dad be worried about you, maybe something you can relate with. And maybe people listening to this can relate. They have children, you know what I mean? Being afraid for your kids. Well, my mom and dad were really scared. They were like not wanting us to be around gunfire. Yeah. And one day their freak out factor went up 1,000-fold. There was this crash through our living room window. Glass shards flew everywhere. And this object sailed through the window and landed near my feet. Now I'm 11, so I have no idea what it is, but it was a glass bottle full of a liquid and there was a burning rag on it. It was a Molotov cocktail. My father knew what it was, grabbed it, pulled out the burning rag, saving my life. At that moment, I'm still not really clued into what's going on, right? I didn't know what it was. Dad said what it was. This is a Molotov cocktail. It was going to explode and kill or maim you. And he said, that's it. Him and my mom made a plan to get me and my 2 brothers out of Iran. So 1978, the revolution started. And by 1980, their plan came to fruition. And my mom, my 2 brothers and I boarded a plane and we flew to Athens, Greece. I'm 13 at that time. And I'm in this new place. And Greece didn't want us. Greece wanted us to leave. So we managed to stay there for 2 years while we applied for landed immigrant status in Canada. Back then, unlike today, it was quite difficult to get landed immigrant status. We had to prove we had a certain amount of assets. We had to agree to start a business as a family that would employ a certain number of Canadians. We landed in Canada in 1982. I'm almost 15, not quite. Now, keep in mind, I'm still a kid. I had friends back home who were as close to me as brothers. This was my home. This was the culture I grew up in. And if you go online and you look at videos from 1960s and 70s Iran, it was the Switzerland of the Middle East. You have the most cultured, beautiful, stunningly gorgeous men and women. I mean, if you look at these young women right now that are being murdered by the regime and you see their photos, they all look like supermodels, for crying out loud. And they're all educated. They're all well-read. They're all like kind, hospitable, beautiful. All that was ripped away from us. And I didn't want that. And, but time goes on and I start to realize what an awesome, noble sacrifice my mother and father made think about this. They're in their late 30s to early 40s, and they're leaving behind everything and everyone they know and love to step into the unknown for a chance at a better life
Hmm.
for me and my two brothers. Like, these are unreal humans, right? The kind of human you don't run into in the West too often. Okay.
No, we're usually descendants of those, right?
Right.
A lot of
Right.
us, we all
Soft.
come from immigrants. We like to forget that we did, but
uh,
we did. It's
And
crazy.
yeah, and these amazing people build a new life.
Mm.
And I'm 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I'm exposed to Western civilization firsthand. And I start to read books by authors. One author, her name was Ayn Rand. She
Mhm.
spoke about freedom, and I read her books, The Fountainhead, We the Living, and Atlas Shrugged. And Atlas Shrugged in particular woke me up politically. And then I'm in school in the early 80s, and the Soviet Union was still around there. And the Soviet Union was a lot like the Islamic regime in Iran. We were under it, the Islamic regime, for a year and a half before we actually got to leave. And there's people supporting them that sounded just like the Marxist in Iran, the alliance of the left. And I'm going, you're idiots. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're supporting a group of people that want to repress everybody, including you, and they'll kill you the first chance they get. You'll be the first group of people they'll kill if they come into power here. And so I'm like, okay, I'm against you guys. And I'm a kid. I'm still like a teenager. I'm against you guys. And then I saw this American, the president, his name was Ronald Reagan, and he started making these speeches. And he was an actor, so he was a good speaker. He knew about timing, he knew about inflection and when to pause and stop. And the dude had me mesmerized. I'm just watching him speak, and I'm going, oh, wow. So he delivered one speech. I'm 16 at the time. So just shortly after we got here, it was in front of a religious group. So I wasn't crazy about religion back then. Because of the Islamists, I was like, I'm against all religion right now. That changed later on. But
Yep.
it was to the National Association of Evangelicals. And he basically got up and he said, the Soviet Union is an evil empire. And I remember those words, evil empire, because I remember it reminded me of Iran. I go, yeah, that's just like the mullahs in Iran, evil empire. That's right. And I'm like, this is my guy. He's talking about bringing freedom to the world. So I'm listening to Reagan give that speech. Then I listened to him give the speech in front of the Berlin Wall. I don't know, you probably weren't around then. You're a bit younger than I am. Like, for me, that was an awakening speech when he said, Mr. Gorbachev, if you believe in peace, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in human rights, come to Berlin, come to the Brandenburg Gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Those
Mhm.
words hit me like an electric jolt to the soul. And I'm like, yeah, freedom. Yeah, this is my guy. This is Ronnie. This is my guy. And from there, I started to be interested in freedom in all areas of human life. And I'm like going there, and I'm finding out, well, who are the freedom people? They're the business people, the entrepreneurs. Man, they're the ones who, like, they take this freedom and they do something with it. They go out
Hmm.
there, they start businesses, they do things for people, they move their own lives forward, they move the human race forward. And my dad, he was an entrepreneur. And Heather, if you had met my father, you would go, this guy is like central casting. Like, Dad is like, if you knew him and you were in Iran and you were looking for work, Dad would try to get you a job. And if he couldn't do it, he'd go, come to my office. He'd clear his calendar. This guy who owned a company with 50 employees, okay, clear his calendar for his friend all morning, and he'd dial for dollars. And he'd call all his friends who owned companies or were high government officials, and he'd just like cajole them, beg them,
Mhm.
manipulate them. But one of them gave you a job, and it was his mission to get you a job that day, and he'd do it. And he did this for dozens of people. And then if you were trying to start a business, and you know my dad, you'd come and see him and you go, would you give me some advice? And he'd do the same thing. He'd clear his calendar, company with 50 employees, clear his calendar for you,
Mhm.
his friend, who's starting a business, give you all his time, his full, complete, undivided attention. And then he'd give you advice. He'd introduce you to people who had capital. He'd introduce you to potential customers. He'd do this even if you were doing a so-called competitive business. Like my mom, it would drive her to distraction. To go, why are you helping this guy? He's trying to do the same thing you are. It's going to be great. He's going to be fine. We do different things. Well, no, you don't. That's the same. My dad didn't believe in competition. He didn't care. He just wanted to help people. Iran was a second world country. If you were trying to buy a car, a house, an apartment, the bank would only give you so much money. Didn't matter what the house cost. If there was a shortfall, you're on your own. You had to go find your own private sources, usually friends or family, right? So here's what would happen. You'd go to someone like my father, and people would go to him. They go, Mr. Napoleon. His first name was Napoleon, he had this regal name, right? And they go, Mr. Napoleon, I need 1,000, I need 2,000, I need 10,000, I need 20,000 to buy this car, this house, this apartment. Can you help me out? Give me a loan. I go, sure. Write him a check. People would go. And then these people, maybe it was you, you'd be like saving money every month to pay him back. And time would come, a year would go by, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was. And these people were excited because, man, this man would help them. They could like say thank you properly, but paying him back, right? And they'd come to his office. And sometimes I'd be in his office with him. I was a little kid, and they'd go, Mr. Napoleon, I'm here. You remember you gave me this loan that time ago? Well, I'm here to pay you back. And then they'd come with a check or cash, or you look at the guy and go, what's this? And he goes, this is the money I owe you. You gave me a loan. He says, that wasn't a loan, it was a gift. And I go, no, 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 that's too much money for a gift. And he just got pretend to be angry. He goes, don't insult me. And then they go, okay, Iranians are like this. They go, okay, okay, okay. What do I do with this money? This is a classic Iranian. What do I do with this money? Crap that they do, right? And he'd say, what do you do with this money? He said, go find someone who was as badly off as you were when I met you and give it to them.
Wow.
And I'm telling you that something, Heather, people come to me, I tell a story, and there's Westerners, right? They go, come on. Was this like a Hollywood movie, man? Nobody does this. Nobody does this in real life. And I go, listen, man, I get you wouldn't do it. Well, my dad did this. And by the way, he wasn't the only Iranian that would do this. This is an Iranian thing, right? It's a thing. We do this. Our culture does this. And they go, why? And I go, well, first of all, he was a devout Christian. He believed that he'd been blessed by God. I mean, to his bones and his cells, he believed he'd been blessed, right?
Mhm.
And his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. A lot of people, they're not into that, but my dad, he was very serious about his faith. He wasn't serious about himself. He was very serious about it. He believed that it was his duty to share those blessings with other people. Like that was like duty. You know what I mean? He
Mhm.
took that very, very seriously. Secondly, dad loved helping people. Like it boosted him. It would give him energy for days. And of course, he had the money. This was not a hardship. He wasn't giving you money that was supposed to go to his kids or his wife. This was money he had because he was
Mhm.
successful. He was rich. And me, I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to help people. I wanted to be somebody that people would come to. And I'm telling you, all this stuff about my dad, people would go tell people. So if you need help, you go see Mr. Napoleon, right?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, and he had a reputation, and they'd be really careful not to let anybody who was trying to take advantage of him go to him. Like they policed that. Like you had to be for real. Like you needed this money for a real purpose, and you weren't just
Yeah.
a BS artist trying to like rip him off or anything like that. But that's the deal it was. And I want to help people. I want to be like this. He was an entrepreneur, and I wanted to do this. So I got into the world of being an entrepreneur to be a man like my father, and I wanted to help other entrepreneurs. And here's what I found in my space, and you and I spoke about this before. In this space where people with a skill set and expertise help people with their skill set and expertise and services, many of them are good at the doing of the thing, but they're not good at the running of the business. You follow what I'm saying, Heather? So
Oh, yeah.
they're not good at sales, they're not good at marketing, they're not good at branding. Like talking about money freaks them out, right? So me, I decided, look, like I went to U of T, I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree. I have a master's in international business. I learned business at my father's kind of feet. I knew business. So I'm like, I'm going to teach these people. I had a mentor who said that most people are scared of selling because they don't want to be seen as one of those pushy, salesy people, right? They don't want to reek of commission breath when they walk in a room.
Right.
So what happens? They don't get business they should get. They suffer. They suffer. And the good person who asks for help doesn't get somebody good helping them. They get some charlatan marketer coming and scooping up the business who doesn't care if they deliver or not. It's a happy accident if they do. So everybody loses. So me, I'm thinking, I'm going to show these people how to reframe this whole mindset. Like my mentor told me, it's not sales, it's service. So think of it as serving people. And my father would say, it's not sales, it's love. People would tell my dad, it's not personal, man, it's just business. My dad go, to me, all business is personal. I only do business in a personal way. I gotta like the person, I gotta care about them. I gotta want to see them benefit. So
Mhm.
I'll do business with them. I learned this from my mentor, Mark von Muser. I learned this from my father. And I go into business and I help business owners who are expert-driven businesses, a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants. Work with a guy who owns a painting company. I've worked with people in landscaping before, accountants, mortgage people. Anyone who has expertise here and provides a service, I help them dramatically increase their sales and success. I teach them how to have the right mindset about it, how to have the right context and heart and love about it. I teach them how to sell properly. I teach them how to handle objections properly. I teach them how to create a brand of being like a authority, a thought leader in their space. And I've helped dozens of people add 6 figures, mid 6 figures, 7 figures, even 8 figures to their business. Best I did for a guy was 11.4 million in 4 months.
Wow. That is impressive and quite the story.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers to you, my friend. See, you're just in Toronto. You're like a 2-hour drive away, and how else would I have had this opportunity to meet you?
There you
So,
go.
so glad to have you.
So my brother used to teach at Western, so I used to go to London a
Ah,
lot.
very nice.
He now teaches at McGill in
Okay.
Montreal.
Yep. I love what you were saying about your dad, how somebody would come to him for help and he wouldn't take the loan money back. Instead, he would tell them, "Go and give that to someone else who needs it the way that you did." And there's something about that that also is empowering the next generation of mentors. It's not just transactional. I gave you this, you owe me that, and that's the end of it. It's like, no, no, I want you to take what you've learned through this experience. I want to take you to take what is in your heart from having this experience, and I want you to share that with someone else. Like, that is
Yeah,
powerful.
it is.
Your father sounds like an extraordinary man.
My father is the greatest human being I've ever known.
That is quite the blessing to grow up and have
Yeah.
an incredible man as a father.
Yes.
So, if only everyone could be so lucky. I say that often. I was very blessed with a very loving childhood from both parents and still have a very good relationship with them today. And a lot of people aren't so lucky. So, I count my stars.
Amen.
So, there were so many things that you've mentioned now and on the questionnaire. I'm so looking forward to picking your brain. So, one of the things that you mentioned was how, charging for your worth, right? And knowing your value. So, as business owners, oftentimes we don't, number one, we don't know our numbers. So, we don't know what our services cost. Or number two, we get stuck in this mindset that, oh, I can't charge that. That's too much. Or you're comparing yourself to your competitors and being like, well, they're so much better than I am. So, I can't charge as much as they do. And there's all these things around money and charging for what we do. I don't have an exact question, but is that a topic you can
Yeah,
talk
it's a good
about in your
topic.
area of expertise?
I can tell you a couple stories in that area.
Yeah.
So one is a recent client. He owns a painting company in Toronto. He's a young fella. He's like 28, 29 years old. And when I started working with him, he said, like, I want to grow my business. Eventually, I want to get it to $1 million business. He was doing like 400K the year before I met him. And he didn't know his numbers. Like, it was insane to me. And I said, "No wonder you're stressed all the time. You don't know how much is going in. You don't know how much is coming out." So I challenged him. I said, "Look, are you a man or are you a mouse?" He said, "I'm a man." I said, "Do you want to grow to $1 million business or is that a pipe dream?" He says, "No, I want to do it." I said, "Then you got to commit to me that you're going to get the help you need to know your numbers." And I said, here's two people that you and I both know and like that are accountants, professional accountants. Pay them some money, get your ass organized. He accepted the challenge. Young men need challenge. You know what I mean? Like it's a swift kick, gently but firmly delivered.
Gently but firmly is a good way to put it.
Delivered.
And I
Yeah.
wouldn't just say young men. And I wouldn't just say young women either. I think sometimes people
With women,
in business.
you gotta be a little careful with women. Like, if I go to a woman and I said, "Are you a woman or a mouse?" I don't think it'd go over so well. You
Yeah,
know
you
what I
can't
mean?
really say that.
No, no,
Yeah.
you can't really say that, right?
Doesn't go over the
There's
same
a
way.
no, it doesn't. But yeah, they gotta be challenged, but they need to be encouraged. Women need to be encouraged, men need to be challenged. With women,
Interesting.
encouragement works. With men, challenge works. Like, I work with my lady, right? We've been a couple for just shy of 15 years, and we've worked together, God, almost 8 years, 8.5 years, something like that. She's at her best when when I'm encouraging her and telling her what she's done really well. If I ever get annoyed, let me tell you, it's not good. It's not good. So
Yeah.
I do my best when I'm dealing with Teresa to really focus on. And this guy, long story short, is it took him 3 months, but he handled knowing his numbers, and now he knows his numbers. There's no more "I don't know my numbers" crap. Anyways, he added um, 135,000 to his business. He grew it from 400,000 to 535,000. Knowing your numbers helps, right? So that's good. Now, he started January, okay? January for a painting company is in Canada is not normally prime selling and work month. Would you agree with that? Painting companies, this
Yep. For
isn't their best.
painting.
I told him I wanted him to consider that he could create a new reality and value what he's doing and don't discount just to get work. And he said, okay. And he said, all right, I'm going to. And he did $75,000 in January. 75. I don't think he'd ever done more than 5,000 before in January. Like, think about that. That's a Hosanna big month for
Yeah.
for our buddies. Learning how to value himself and know the numbers opened the door to him to grow his business by over 30%
Nice.
from a nice high base, right? 400K, not from like $4,000, right? So,
Yep.
so he added a significant amount. He started January by like having like over 10 times what his best previous January ever was in revenue. So that's that. So I had another fellow who owned an acupuncturist business in Manhattan, and he was doing 150,000 a year. And I met him and he said, I love my business, but I want to make 10 times as much money. I'm having a child, and my wife and I are going to need more money. And I said, all right, show me your business. So everything about his business was great except what he charged. He undercharged. Like, he was charging stupidly low rates. His clients were like Wall Street bankers, Broadway superstar actors. Like, oh, what are you doing, man? This is embarrassing, man. You're in Manhattan. I said, okay, what? You want me to raise my prices 10%? I go, wait, is this a joke? He said, no, 20. I go, 30? I go, dude, 20-fold your prices. He started to hyperventilate. I'm like, dude, come on. Look, you wouldn't do 20-fold. But he agreed to 7-fold his prices. So Heather, 7-folding his prices, 20-folded the amount of clients he got. All these rich clients started bringing their friends. And a couple of them came to him and said, hey, man, glad you raised your prices. I couldn't bring my buddies here. Now I can't. And he made 1.2 million in 4 months. 4 months, 1.2 million from 150,000 over the course of a whole year. And if you don't get what you should get energetically, you won't give what you should give. You're shortchanging your clients. Secondly, if you undercharge, people will imagine that even if you're good, they're going to assume you're not good. Undercharging is bad for business. Gouging is bad for business. Undercharging is bad for business. You have to charge what it's worth. So if you're doing a relationship rescue coaching, like helping people whose spouses have left them, they're like, okay, damn it, I want my wife back. Let's get started. I don't want to go through a divorce. I don't want to lose half my $10 million net worth. What do you charge? And you go $50, guy's gonna laugh at you and he's not gonna hire you, right?
It's a really good
But if you go
analogy.
for real,
Yeah.
right? But if you go $50,000, you might go, whoa, big gulp. But he's going to go, this guy's serious. He charges what it's worth because it's worth 50,000 to save 10 million, right?
Right.
And that you need to think about it. And then if you're in the landscape business, stop looking at what other people charge. It's not about that. You got to get a clear understanding of why this person wants to hire a landscape company, and you got to charge according to the value that you offer. Don't go there going, I'm going to just charge this guy because I can. No, charge him what you should be getting. Don't charge more. Don't charge less. Most
Yep.
people charge way less. That's the problem.
Well, I think too, like part of that is, I know something I've seen again and again at different places before I started my own business is that a client would want a service, let's say a pool, for example, and the contractor says they've priced everything out. They've priced everything out. They know what their profit margin should be. They know what the cost of materials is going to be. They've already quoted out all the labor. And, there's probably a, what do we call it? I call it a no shit charge, where it's like, you have a little something in there in case something goes wrong, right? It's just a little additional money just in case something happens. And then the client says, oh, well, I really like working with you and I really like everything you did, but, could we just bring the price down a little bit? Like, is there anything we could do? And right there is when I see a lot of contractors wanting the job so bad that they will reduce the price without reducing the scope of the job. And then what they don't realize is that they're making break even or less on the job, because by bringing that down, they're reducing their profit margin. They're not reducing the scope of the job just because they really want it. What are you doing?
In certain cultures, you should put in a negotiation factor price increase. So if you go to a Persian family, I would just, whatever your price is, add 20% to it and then negotiate it down. Get what you
Right.
really want.
Yep.
Because They expect a discount. Makes them feel better. But yes, I know that's a terrible idea. Don't lose money on jobs. Don't ever do that. That's ridiculous.
And it's interesting when you talk about, if people are going to bring down the money or bring down the cost or want the price to be lowered, going in with that initial 20%. So I haven't been to Iran. Hopefully one day, if things can, it's on my list. Beautiful country at one time, and I would love to go. But
Hope you get
I
to.
have lived
Yeah,
in India, and the
cool.
bartering system is strong over there as well. You don't ever tell anybody your actual price, right? You always upcharge it a little
Yeah.
bit. And so I'm a little bit, I would say, different because what I do, I'm quite niche in the landscape as a freelance landscape designer. I'm not a big design build. So I'm actually very transparent about all my costing, all my prices, and even my profit margin. I don't overcharge, but I am not going to give anybody a discount because this is my price. It's my price.
If you meet an Iranian family, add 20% to it and bring it down. Trust me.
Okay,
Trust me.
I will keep that in mind. I
Just,
appreciate that.
just trust me. It'll go over better. Everyone will feel better.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting.
You got to tell them just for you.
Just for
Just 'cause I
you,
love you.
I have a
Just
special
for you.
price.
I was
Just
Nobody else gets this. You can't tell anybody.
I love that.
And sometimes that's even true.
Right?
Like,
Yep. Well, and how many times, like, it makes me wonder too, how many times if we as contractors, whether we're landscaping or another trade even, that if we just added 20% to our price, what's the worst thing that could happen is the client says, you know what? No. But maybe they'll say, yeah, that sounds good. Right? Like
if
they're
they
either going
say
to
no,
say,
price. If they say no, the question you ask them, is it about the price? And they go,
hmm
yeah. And I go, look, I want to really make this happen for you. Let's see if we can come to an agreement.
right.
And that's when the games begin.
Yeah, and it's part of the process. And a lot of times that's when you will undercover what the real issue is. I don't know how many times I've had that conversation with a client and they say it's the price, where you find out that there's been a recent death in the family, right? And there's all these funeral costs and we don't know what we're going to do and we're going to have to do an estate sale in the house and there's this stress that actually isn't connected to this at all. And the price isn't a problem, right? They just need to be seen and heard and understood so many
Yeah,
times. Oh,
that's true. That's true.
there was something you said earlier about the one client you worked with, the paint shop guy. I want to
Yeah.
come back to this for a quick second and I love this concept where you told him that what if or you opened his mind to saying what if you could make a new norm for January.
For
Like
January,
January is
yeah.
usually low sales, but what if you could? What if? I love this phrase. What if? And just by asking somebody to do that as a coach, right? You're asking your client to change their perspective and not set an unrealistic expectation. That's not what I'm talking about. But to open up to the possibility that maybe it doesn't have to be the way it's always been. Don't go into January just assuming it's going to be a crap month. That's not how you start the month. Go in there with an open mind, be like, you know what? I bet you I could just totally conquer this month. I'm feeling good. And open your mind to that, right? Think of the possibilities. Like you're opening up yourself that energy. If you're not open to abundant energy in January, it's not going to come knocking.
Yeah. You have to be open to abundance all the time. And limiting beliefs will crush your ability to live life as the best version of you.
That's beautiful. Could you say that one more time?
Limiting beliefs will crush your ability to live life as the best version of you.
Boom. Mic drop. I keep saying I need to get like a small mic that I can actually drop on the show because this one here is actually kind of
Sounds good.
expensive. So I don't want to drop this
Yeah,
one.
you don't want to drop this one. No.
No, I just need a little fake microphone I can drop. Oh my gosh. Thanks.
Amazon for $12. You could order one of those on Amazon for 12
Right?
bucks. They're
I'm
there.
going to buy like one of those big toy ones from the dollar store that's like neon green and totally
Okay.
obnoxious. Yeah.
There you go. Go for it.
But limiting beliefs, this is something that's come up, I don't know how many times on this podcast and in life, generally speaking. And for me personally, it was about money. It was this, I grew up, I did read the Wealthy Barber, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad really threw me for a loop more than the Wealthy
Yeah.
Barber. I grew up where my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own janitorial business. And that was my first job. I worked with him cleaning public libraries as a kid after
Cool.
hours. And it was the most magical, like 6 to 8 years that I had with my dad, just me and him in a huge
I love
empty
it.
library all by ourselves. And we would do the work. And then we had free range. We had an agreement with them that if you wanted books, just, write down the books that you got and bring them next time come cleaning. Like, it felt like a magical kingdom, right? Those years that I had with my dad. And the early years, I don't remember seeing a financial struggle between my parents. It was probably kept hidden from us, but I never grew up thinking, that we're not enough, that we're not doing enough, that we're not working hard enough, that we're lacking, right? We always had food on the table and we got to do lots of extracurricular activities. We lived in the country and I never saw that. But I think growing up, there were some issues that we weren't made privy to as kids that I think had I known, I would maybe have grown up understanding money better.
For
And it was
sure.
very much money doesn't grow on trees, right? That's one of the famous sayings. And when you hear that as a kid and you grow up thinking that, you grow up not coming from a place of abundance. Because if money isn't abundant, if money doesn't grow on trees, then it is a limited resource. And that was something that I'm still in the process of working through, but much better than I was. And the other one is that money is the root of all evil. And we know that's not even the
Well, that's the bastardization of
it
a of
is.
a of a phrase from the Bible. It's
It
the
is.
love of money is the root of all evil. That's what it actually says.
Exactly.
It does not say money is the root of all evil. That's a falsehood.
Absolutely, because it's for the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil, as in greed, right? Wanting to hoard it all, keep it all to yourself. Such a good phrase. The real one, not the bastardized version of it. What else did I want to ask you about? So you had mentioned on your questionnaire that there is a mentor named Mark von Musser. Is that his name? Sir?
Muser, von
Musa.
Muser.
King of Heart Driven Sales. So is he a coach? Is he an author? Give a shout out to your mentor. Who is this guy?
Mark von Muser is honestly like my brother from another mother. He was director of sales training and coaching for Tony Robbins, the great
Wow.
motivational speaker, for 5 years. And he helped Tony add tens of millions of dollars to his business. He then went on to work for a man named Russell Ruffino, who owned a company called Clients on Demand. And Russ was doing 2 million a year and he took him to 20 million. And Mark basically teaches people that sales is, a people game, not a numbers game.
Right.
And I wrote a book with him on podcast guesting. So that's Mark over there.
Books.
And yeah, I've written 11 of them. So if you're a
Okay.
book reader, go to Amazon and,
Get
order
booked
the
and get
catalog, please.
paid. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you'll
How
have
to
to send me a
generate
list of your books.
six figures plus a year to podcast. 'Cause, yeah, listen, what I'll do is I'm going to drop my cell number for you in the chat here. Send me a text and I'll do a bunch of that stuff. But if you love books and you love reading, I'll just send you my author page on Amazon and
Perfect.
go order the catalog, man. You'll love them. I write good books. I'm a good writer, and they're all designed to make you feel more empowered, smarter, stronger, etc.
Love that. I've just started the outline of a book. I've had this idea for a long time, and I've come to the realization that I say someday too often. Someday I'll write my book. One day I'll write my book. Get started, right? Because I don't know
Right now,
how many years I've been saying someday or one day I'm going to write a book. Well, gosh darn it, this year, first draft is happening. So we're doing it.
Heather, let's talk afterwards.
Okay.
I can help you get your book done in 60 days.
Oof. I don't know about that. That's scary to me. I also have a lot of work to do as a solopreneur.
Sure, I understand. If you're willing to put aside a half hour a day, 4 days a week, you can get it done in 60 days.
Wow, that'd be crazy. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk after.
It
So
doesn't,
excited.
it sounds crazy, but it really isn't.
Really
It
isn't.
is a
Okay.
discipline. It is a discipline. Writing
Oh,
is a discipline. Writing is a discipline. Do you have any disciplines you currently follow in your life?
I would like some more discipline in my life. This has also come
You
up on the
brush
show
your
about,
teeth every day.
yes. See, I do have a
Do you
couple of good
shower every
disciplines.
day?
No.
Do you, do you shower most days?
Yes. My hair will fall out if I
Congratulations.
shower every day.
Right, right. I understand. But congratulations, you have the ability to form a discipline. So
Yes.
I will tell you what I did when I started writing books.
Okay.
I put the clock or timer on. I got rid of every distraction. So no text, no emails, no phone calls. Okay. This is really important. And I would set the timer for 30 minutes and I'd set it out of the room. So there'd be no way for me to be distracted. But I would hear the timer out of the room when 30 minutes hit. So it wouldn't be near me. So I wouldn't be tempted to look at my phone or whatever.
Yep.
And I would write until the timer went off. I wrote 14,000 words in a week.
Wow.
In a week. That was my first book. It was 30 pages long. Okay. This is my first book. And see, very slim, 3 pages. 5,000 copies of this book made its way into people's hands. I sold maybe 600 copies. I gave away the rest.
Okay.
This book made over $3.5 million.
Wow.
You can write a 30-page book. You can print it. It doesn't need to be a magnum opus. Most people don't read past 30 pages. I'm just being straight with you. And congratulations, your first book. Oh, this is the nicer version of the copy. Then I expanded it to 42 pages. That was my second book. Okay. And then I decided I need to write a book more than 100 pages. So I wrote a couple of books more than 100 pages. But once I had the discipline down and I knew what I was going to talk about. So if you have an outline and you know what you're going to talk about, all you got to do is write. And worst comes to worst, once you're done the writing, you just call someone like me and you go, will you read the book for me? And if you go, okay, this was pretty good, your content's good, done a good job, run with the book. If you feel like I need someone to help me edit it a little bit, you pay somebody.
Yep.
And they'll edit it for you. But the discipline of 5 days a week, 30 minutes, I'm writing. Come on, Heather, you're not that busy. Nobody is. You can do 5 days a week, 30 minutes. Everybody can.
Find the time, prioritize the time. We all have the time. Just decide what you're going to prioritize that time to.
I'm telling you right now, the only reason people don't write books in this day and age is because they doom scroll too much on bloody social media, right? They are distracted from what really matters, because if you put aside a half-hour doom scrolling, you could do a book. I had a client of mine who was in a program I ran that ended up not happening. So he goes, okay, look, I paid you a bunch of money for this program. So I want to get value from it. And I told him the value you're going to get is whatever you want. Tell me what you need. I'll coach you, whatever. And he said, you've written a lot of books. He said, if you help me write my book, we're even. I said, deal. I just want my name on the book. He said, deal. So we wrote this book with him. This book's just over 120 pages. It's called How to Generate $1 Million a Year Income, the priceless guide for life insurance agents, sales professionals, and anyone with a big dream. His name's Perry Wong. That's Perry. I did all the writing. The content is mostly his, some mine. This book has made Perry conservatively $2 million, because the book becomes, if you're smart with the book and you start handing it out to people, it opens doors for you. And the way that you do it is you give them a book and then you go, let's have a meeting, read the book, read some things. We'll talk about some of the concepts in the book. Let's have a meeting. And you look like a higher level expert than Joe Schmo who doesn't have anything. 30 to 50 page book, girl. We can have this done in 60 days for you. Boom.
Boom. Mic drop again, right? Discipline. This has come up. This is a repeat theme, I swear. Discipline, not motivation. Because my motivation is like this, right? I'm one of those people. But having the discipline, and I'm slowly getting better at the discipline in certain areas of my life, and writing is one of them. So I appreciate the reminder. Nicky, you had mentioned before, because I didn't want to forget, I saw you took your last sip of your Dr. Zevia. What is this? Do you have the can handy?
Yeah.
Do you have the can right there?
The root beer. I have a can of the root beer.
Okay, so this is the one, creamy root beer by Zevia, or Zevia, because it's stevia.
So 0 calories.
Zero calories too.
The ingredients are carbonated water, natural flavors, which kind of root extracts, stevia leaf extract, and citric acid. It tastes delicious. No insulin spike.
I got to look this up.
Creamy root beer. I've got Dr. Zevia too, from the same company, Zevia. There are a whole bunch of flavors.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Very cool. I'm going to look this up because we're not much of pop people, but every once in a while, right? So something like that.
There you go.
Love it. Right. Cool. What am I drinking? So this is going to be the second podcast episode in a row that I think I'm drinking the same beer, because this one just makes me laugh. It's called The Ugliest Parent. What a name for a beer. I tell you, one day, see, there I go and do it again. I want to name a beer and create like a really funny, weird name. To be continued. So I love that on your questionnaire, I always ask, what is one of your biggest achievements or successes, either personally or professionally? And your words says fathering 2 savage sons. Can we talk about your savage sons, Nicky?
So I have a son who just turned 20, and he has been working full-time since he finished high school at 18. So a little over a year and a half. He works as a health and fitness coach for a company called Hammer Fitness. He has been working 90 hours a week. So he gets up at 4 a.m. most days. He's in the gym at 5. He starts training his clients at 5 a.m. Usually goes till 7, 8 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. And then when he leaves the gym, he'll go home and shoot videos for social media. So he keeps working. He works Saturdays and Sundays, and he sleeps in till 5 a.m. and goes in at 6 and works till 3 or 4 and again does more work. So this kid never works less than 10 hours a day. That's a light day. That's Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes works way more than that. And during the week, he's working 14, 16 hours a day, every single day. He makes good money. He puts a lot of money aside. He invests in stocks. He's disciplined. He's in tremendous shape. He reads books. He was captain of his high school soccer team. He was captain of his club soccer team. He was quite a good soccer player as well. I
Nice.
raised
Sounds like
him.
a
I
hardworking
pushed him.
kid. Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
you've done good.
Yeah. And my other son is 17. He's going to be 18 in March. He's in grade 12. He's got an A average in school. He's played hockey as a goalie. He plays soccer as well. In the summer, he had a business doing like teen landscaping, and he'd detail cars. And then he also had a job as a hockey goalie coach for a hockey camp. These are my boys. What's different about me as a father, um, and a lot of people, is I push my sons. I challenge them, and I spend a lot of time with them. Right now, they're teenagers. They're not spending as much time with dad. And
Mhm.
the 20-year-old, like, he's a grown man now. He's doing his own thing. But what I did with them is I modeled for them how to work hard. I modeled for them how to take responsibility. I gave them wisdom. I gave them what my dad gave me, and I pushed them. And I know a lot of kids, especially successful parents, whose parents just haven't put that much into the kids, and the kids aren't doing as well. A lot of them are sitting on a couch. They're playing video games. It's not good.
Yeah.
I want to see more people raise savage sons that go out there and make
Go
their way
for
in
it.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always not a touchy subject, but it's something I don't often comment on because I don't have children myself. My husband and I
Mm.
decided very, very early on that we weren't going to go that route. But I am the crazy aunt to a number of kids, both by blood and close friends who have kids, right? But I do see kind of this, like, I don't understand the getting an allowance to do your chores. For example, it's like, are you a member of the family? Well, then you need to support the household. I'm not gonna pay you a monthly allowance to do the things you're supposed to do. Anyway, that's a whole thing. This is why I don't talk about being a parent, because 'cause I'm not one, and I don't know what I'm talking about. What else do I have on here? I love this. We are getting close to time, so I only have a couple more questions for you, but I love this, on the questionnaire I asked, the biggest lesson that you could share with someone in relationship to business or to life, and your word of advice is be yourself.
Yeah. Everyone else is taken, you know?
Everyone else
Um,
is taken. It's so true.
Honestly, when you go through life, I think we're all here to live, to learn, to love, to grow, to contribute. I think everyone has this mission. The sooner you can discover who you really are and live according to that, the happier you're going to be,
Hmm.
and the more you will live the best version of your life. And contrary to popular belief, the best version of your life isn't that you're driving fancy cars and jet setting all over the world. That could be the case for certain people, but for most of us, it probably isn't that. Like, I see a lot of people put videos out there on the internet, social media, especially guys in the these who are trying to get other guys to sign up for their programs, be like me, date all these beautiful women and drive these nice cars and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, no. I actually think you're way better off giving your life to God. And if you do that in the most uncommon of hours, God will whisper back to you what you really need to know and learn and live to truly be happy. Because honestly, airbrushed videos of someone else's fake life, that's not necessarily what anybody really wants in the long run. I mean, do I want to be on yachts 24/7 with 8 different girls every week? No.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
And I mean, would it be cool to go on a yacht for a weekend? Sure. Couple of weekends? Maybe. Do I wanna see beautiful, scantily clad women? Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 58, I'm in a relationship, I'm kinda past that, right? When I was younger, would I have liked it? Sure. Would I wanna do it every weekend? I don't even think then. I'd rather be around people I know, I like.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're selling a fantasy, they're selling a life that I don't
Hmm.
think really serves young men. I think the best thing young men can do is work hard on themselves, work
Yeah.
hard on you. Don't work hard for external rewards, work hard on you.
There's something that
It
comes up on
becomes
the show
harder.
that, if you sit quietly enough, you know the answer. You know the truth. And that's like the little voice that you said, God whispering to you. This is what you either need to do, or this is what's next, or this is what's but if you're so caught up in, the drugs and the partying and the yacht and the girls and the whatever else, you're not taking time. So many people can't even sit still without music on because of the silence. Like, people are terrified to sit and listen to their own brain.
Yeah,
Extraordinary.
it really is. Look, this morning I woke up, so the trucks were doing snow removal and I could hear them. They woke me up at about 1:30 in the morning and they kept going until 3:30. I tried to fall back asleep and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read. So I picked up a novel and I read. I didn't grab my phone and start doom scrolling. I read. So I read 75 pages in that novel and it was fun. I felt
Mhm.
good. I enjoyed the story and I fell asleep when they left. So it was close to 4 a.m. Then, at 5:30, I woke up again, which is most weekday mornings, I kinda get up around 5:30, and, I didn't need to get up quite that early, so I said, "Okay, I'll read a little in bed." So I got a friend of mine who's written a devotional book around health and around faith, so I read a bit in that. Reading, Ryan Holiday has a daily kind of, devotional type book where every day of the year you get one lesson. I read that. I read a chapter in the Bible in the book of John's. That's how
Hmm.
I spent my morning. And I
Right.
felt good. And I got in the car. I got a friend of mine, Mark Von User. I listened to about 45, 50 minutes of him teaching various aspects about heart-driven selling. I felt good. I came back home. I had a conversation with somebody who had been thinking about signing up for a podcast guesting workshop we're doing this week. And I said, "I think you should sign up." She said, "Okay." She signed up.
There you go.
Still, so I was in a flow of all that. And then I was on a podcast that I did for my show. I was on another man who had me on. He has 2 shows, so I did both shows for an hour and 20 minutes, and then I came to your show.
Look at
That's
that.
been my
You've had a
day.
busy day.
It's been good already, and I got 2 more podcasts to do today before I call it a day. It's good. This is all positive stuff. You and I are building a relationship here. Main reason I come on shows is I want to build relationships with business owner hosts. That is my like I want to inspire audiences because God has seen to fit to bless me with the ability to speak powerfully, passionately, articulately, and with a magnetic presence that inspires my fellow man and woman. I come there and I want to deliver that. I want you to be happy you brought me on because look, you're spending time, energy, money putting a show on. It's a
Mhm.
big risk when you bring a guest on, okay? I want you to leave this show, and in your mind, I want you to think, that guy was awesome. I want to bring him back. He was cool. My audience is going to love him. That's in my mind, right? And then thirdly, and this is for me, is like, and this is what I teach in my podcast guesting, okay? Is
Mhm.
I want to build relationships with new business owners I don't know. And when I go on podcasts, that's what I have an opportunity to do. You and
Right.
I have spent almost an hour here. We're almost like old friends at the end of this show.
Right?
You
Like, I
feel
just
better
love
toward
that.
me. I feel better toward you. We're going to have a short chat at the end of this at the end of this recording. There's an opportunity for us to open the door to greater business connectivity here. Think
Absolutely.
about this. It took me 100 podcast guest appearances to figure this out. Everyone else goes on shows. Everybody, Heather, goes on shows going, the audience is going to reach out to me. This is great. I'm going to get more followers, more likes. This is great. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Unless you're on a really big show with a huge reach, that's unlikely. That's
Right.
just unlikely. And I've been on shows like that, and I've had people reach out to me. Okay, so I don't want to act like it doesn't happen, but it's unlikely. But if you go on any show through Podmatch, the host of that show is a fellow seeker and a fellow entrepreneur. The opportunity to build a relationship with that host is 100%.
We were not huge podcast. I was actually just looking up as you were saying that, because you were saying, you want me to reach out to you and tell you how awesome you are. I can tell you right off the top how many people listen to your episode, tune in, from what countries. Right now we're in 7 countries. We get up to
I love it.
61, I think, downloads a day. And all time we're at
That's
like
awesome.
3,500 plays, downloads, and streams. So season 3, pretty good, still going strong. But
The fact that you're doing that is great and important, but you got to get my attention is if anyone from that audience is impacted by me, that's a bonus. And I want the audience to feel good and I want to inspire them. So I have an intention to make them feel good. But my intention of coming here is I want to connect with you.
Perfect. Well, we are off to a great start then, Nicky. So
There you go.
that is concluding today's episode. Nicky, thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with me about your life, about your expertise, your background in your business. Once again, I did have that up. That's the founder eCirle Academy. So people can look that up. There's a website. You can just Google it, right? It comes right up at eCirle Academy. Awesome. Thanks again, Nicky, and I will see you around. Cheers.
Thank you, Heather. Good to talk to you.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Hops and Hedges, hosted by me, Heather Gerard of My Landscape Artist. Now, before you go, here's a quick word from our sponsor, ext.tech. In today's fast-paced world, landscaping businesses need modern tools to keep up with constant change, and that's where EXT comes in. EXT is transforming how landscaping, snow removal, and construction companies manage their operations. Using streamlined client management, real-time financial insights, and a modern mobile app your team will actually enjoy using. And with flat-rate pricing, there are no surprises, just clarity and control. If you're ready to revolutionize and grow your landscaping business, visit ext.tech to learn more. For additional savings, use the code HOPS10 at checkout, or just tell them that Heather sent you.